Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. I'm just going to bring him up. We're going to talk about building out your tech stack, choosing a TMS. Like, how does this actually go? What questions then can you ask? And there is literally no man more qualified for this than my friend Jeff Parisi here with Revinova. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be with the Freight Coach. I wish I left my hat in Chicago. I wish I would remember to bring my hat. I love the hat that you gave me, all the cool swag, but it's really a pleasure being on with you, Chris.
No, man, I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm really looking forward to, actually being able to partner with you guys now in this year, and as somebody who literally uses your guys' system every single day. And it's great to have that relationship with, a few of my advertisers as well, right? Like, I use green screens every single day to quote out all of our freight. SPI is who my brokerage is through. So it's kind of like, it's kind of all coming together here, Jeff. In my grand plan of things is to like be the guinea pig, right? Like, hey, I actually do this every single day with my stuff. And this is as we grow and scale things out. It's to be able to bring that a different level of resonation, we can call it, with people.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. A lot of respect for you. You're an early adopter of kind of this medium that you're on. And and correct me if I'm wrong, but my perception is you got into it not to, be famous or make a ton of money, but you really wanted to help people. Yeah. And you had a knowledge that you could transfer to this industry. Your goal is to, drive value and performance of everybody. And I think it started out that way. And obviously your success has made it into a business and a profession, but you're one of the early adopters, and somebody I've always looked up to. So,
no, I appreciate that, and it's the truth, though, right? Like, my main thing is there's so much information in today's day and age, Jeff, right? Like, it's coming at you from every single angle. What's legit, what's valid, and what's not. And as somebody who's out here trying to build my dreams up, I've made those mistakes of like getting the wrong stuff or the wrong financial advice, overextending myself in my business, and having a few key people in my life that have kind of been able to guide me behind the scenes. I'm like, this is what just needs to be out there, right? Like, this needs to be out there so people can get this information and apply it to their business and see results. Because I was just talking to a guy the other day, he's a truck driver out there making it work. And he's trying to talk about that stuff on the trucking company side of things too, because and we both were talking because we've both been in this industry our entire lives. Like, he's from a family of truck drivers. I'm from a family of truck drivers. And we don't view this as a job. Like, this is a calling. This is a career. This is our industry. And I view it as like the information I put out there, like, people make decisions that could possibly take food off of their family's plate. So why wouldn't you put the best information out there? And plus, we're talking about $1 trillion industry. Like, you're not going to lose any opportunities by putting the right stuff out there for people.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it. I'm pretty new to the industry, although we've been in business for 10 years. This industry is so collaborative. Of course, the brokers compete, carriers compete, but there's a real genuine interest with partners and others to help each other. And the industries I've been in, you don't see that very often. This industry is pretty unique in the collaboration and the friendships. And really the sincere desire to see everybody succeed. I think it's unique.
Do you think it's because it is so large? Like, I mean, I don't know of any other industry out there where you could have competing companies not even hear about each other and they do hundreds of millions of dollars a year in revenue and stuff like that. And, I see that a lot in the full truckload side of things that, I was actually prospecting a shipper this morning and they're like, yeah, we have a lot of freight, but we only do bulk. And I'm like, your website could have been a little bit different than that. But, they're out there. They're one of the biggest players that are out there. And, and then I'm actually having a guy come on the podcast here a little bit later this month where he does a lot of that work in the bulk industry. And it's like, that's a whole other method of transportation. And, again, it's like, it's so diverse. There's so many different niches that are out there. And that's why, I talk about that a lot, Jeff, is it's so important to choose a niche and stick with it, right? Like diversifying your book of business is almost irrelevant in freight when we're talking about billions and billions of dollars worth of opportunity that's out there. You don't need to offer 7 different things. And as somebody who cold calls shippers every single day, you guys, I don't just post about it. I walk this walk. The most beneficial conversations I have with people on the phone are inside of my niche. They can tell I'm serious based on the questions that I'm asking because I'm not out there chasing a dollar. I know I can add value to their operation.
Right. And that's what makes you successful. It's what makes any business successful. That's always the goal. I'm a software company and all we care about is happy customers, profitable, making good, profitable decisions. And that's our focus. We're a customer driven organization. And you're the same way. You have really 2 customers. You have your customer and you have your carrier. I got to support both, treat both well. And by that relationship, I will gain more business. So that's always the goal, is just making sure the transaction runs as smooth as possible.
No, I agree with that. And, speaking of technology was what you guys do, and you guys do it very, very well. A lot's changed. I mean, even you said you guys have been in the industry for a little over 10 years now with this stuff. A lot's changed in the tools that are at people's disposal right now, where it's like, we're out there. Obviously, we believe in, we want to grow. We have very large goals for the long term and everything, but we're also out there trying to bootstrap our way up to get things going. And now there's some tools at your disposal where it's like hiring people. Your output can be exponentially greater in today's day and age with the right technology, where you don't necessarily have to hire people and you can kind of stretch it thin. And if there's one thing that I've learned in building up my business here is you got to take $1 and stretch it into $3 of value if you're going to make it. And you got to manage your cash flow with a lot of that. So like, what are you guys seeing? Like obviously the TMS is the pillar for every trucking company and freight brokerage out there. How are you guys really assessing who you partner with as freight tech continues to grow and expand out there? I'm sure you guys are getting talked to all the time about integrations and everything else. So how are you guys deciphering like what makes an integration partner? Is it customer feedback, or are you guys trying to think a couple of steps ahead to be like, hey, it would be more beneficial to have this for our users, long term?
Yeah, it's a little of both. I think driven, primarily from customers. Customers request it. Plus, we've been in the industry. We know all the players and the value. We know what we want to do, our vision of our software technically, and how does it fit. So, if our customers are requesting it and it drives value for our whole suite of customers, and that's generally when things get prioritized.
How are you out there looking, like with inside of your guys' system? Are you guys ever looking at, is it better to build it yourselves? And is that based on customer feedback, or do you guys prefer kind of the integration route with it because your core product is the TMS itself?
Yeah, I think, when we talk about tech and the tech stack, taking a step back, I think one of the, more interesting innovations in my lifetime has been this thing, the cell phone. And I think our kind of methodology has always been trying, and as a consumer, I don't carry around 4 phones. I don't have a phone for making phone calls or sending texts or doing emails or surfing the web. You wouldn't walk around with 4 phones. So as a consumer, I have a certain level of comfort and access to information. I have one contact in my phone. That one contact, I make phone calls and emails, and I can go in there and see, okay, I've done all this with this one person. I don't have, all these databases. And as you know, from a tech, we've seen companies where their, sales reps are on a CRM, their accounting's on a different accounting, their truckload brokerage is on a TMS, their LTL brokerage is on another TMS, all different accounts. One, the CRM says ABC company, in their accounting, it's A.B.C co. In their brokerage, it's AB Incorporated. They fat fingered something. So, and then if they own assets, which a lot of our bigger companies also do, whether it's 15 or 1,500 assets, they're on another TMS. And there's a lot of integrations. There's a lot of, and one of the ways they try to solve this data thing is they might use, let's say, a Microsoft BI or a Tableau or something that then integrate all these systems into this data warehouse to get reporting. So we try to run our company like an iPhone. One place, one version of the truth, a 360-degree view of a customer. So literally, we have customers to do everything on our platform. So when I click on a customer, I can see their aging buckets.
Yeah.
For collections, I can go on and see my monthly spend, annual spend, daily spend, weekly spend, by mode. How many did I move with my trucks? How many did I broker out? What's my margin on certain lanes with this customer? I can go and look at what's my CRM activity, what's my marketing, how many times have I sent out emails, invoices.
Yeah.
So our kind of vision is to bring kind of that iPhone mentality to this industry, to put everything in one place, give our customers a 360-degree view of their customers, which are both customers and carriers.
Yeah.
All on one platform. And that's kind of been our vision on day one.
Yeah. And I think that, because for me, it's, again, as you're building and scaling out, whether it's your book of business or your business in general, you are pulled in so many more directions than I think most people even realize until they get to that point. And I would just always want people to look for that simplicity, right? Like look for that provider that, if you're looking at TMSs, talking to them about their active integrations, seeing what is out there, because you don't want to be jumping from screen to screen, right? Because I just, like right now, I mean, it's speed is everything, right? Getting a rate to a customer or a new prospect, that is everything. And you have to have that focus, and you don't want to be fumbling between multiple screens and everything else. I mean, if you look at your traditional freight brokerage office, everybody has 2 to 3 monitors. That's insane, right? Like you should literally be able to operate on one and have that going at all times. Otherwise, you're too distracted and you're getting pulled in too many different directions. And, you brought up data there, Jeff, and that's one thing that I wish more people would pay attention to as they're growing and scaling, their operations is what is the most profitable lanes, customers, and everything that they're working with. Because I think so many people chase revenue, because it's almost like revenue is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, you guys, but it's almost like top line revenue is almost overly glorified as opposed to turning a profit. And that's one thing, again, you'll learn as you're going out there and actually building something. I want to go after the right profitable customers that are going inside of my operation and really assessing, what does my current book of business look like? Are we working with too many? Are we being spread too thin as we're trying to grow and scale?
Yeah, this is a speed and information industry. You have to, you make decision in seconds. The ones that have the information at their fingertips that can respond to customers, carriers, cover loads the fastest with the best information, it's going to be the most profitable. So, I just heard today, there's, one of our customers, they have, they grew by like 100%, but they reduced the number of people that they had
Mhm.
just by tech, by having better information and making better decisions quicker. So it's that's the industry we're in. And if you have disparate systems all over, when we talk about a tech stack, it's hard. And another thing we're going to talk about too, I'm sure, is AI. And you asked, what are my thoughts about, do we buy or build it? So that's an example where we're building it out. We're on this great platform. It has great Salesforce tools, our AI tools. You can see the commercials of Einstein Analytics and Agent Force on their TV. We take advantage of that, and we conform that for the transportation industry. So there's partners out there that do AI, and we still use some of those partners, but that's something we're gonna do ourselves.
No,
Carrier compliance, for instance. Hey, Highway, RMIS, My Carrier Portal, they're the experts. We're gonna defer to them.
Yeah, and I think that, to your point about that operation that grew 100%, but they were able to reduce their head count with technology and everything. I think, like with that piece alone, that's what, when I sit here and talk about leveling the playing field, those are the exact scenarios that I'm talking about where, some of these organizations where, you look at the largest freight brokerages in North America now, there is literally no discernible difference between a tech stack that you could have as a smaller operation or a mid-level operation. Your output is the exact same now. You can build that out there. And then, again, for me, I want to grow smart, right? Like I want to, like, obviously this is a pie in the sky idea of mine where I only have to hire the amount of people that I actually need and then arm them with the the top tech stack that they can, so they can have and make as much money as possible, right? Because again, I've said this 1,000 times, this is 1,001. No sales rep inside of my organization will ever have cap commissions. I don't believe in cutting them off with that. But I believe like with arming them with the right tech, you can increase their output and push those limits out today where, back when I first started brokering freight, I mean, a busy day might have been 15 loads, per rep, for example. Now it's like, man, you can move 50 loads per rep with the right tech stack that's out there. Granted, that we're talking a lot of API, EDI, and everything else, but that's at your disposal right now. And as you're looking to, as a leader of an organization, how do I manage my P&L better? I mean, if you always look at it, I believe that, at the end of the day, when you hire people, they're an investment. But if you don't have the capital to hire, or if you're having trouble hiring people and keeping them on board, why wouldn't you invest in something that can be that filler?
Right. And then we're seeing, it's a younger industry too. People, coming out of school, and they're used to certain tools. They're used to, some of the older legacy systems and having disparate information. The young people, they don't even understand that. Why do I have to go to these 5 places to get information? It's got to be in front of me. So, if you're looking at hiring good people, retaining good people, your tech is real important. It's got to be easy to use. It's got to be functional. They have to have a vision of how am I going to make money, and providing them the tools to do that.
Now, I personally love how easy it is to navigate through Revenova. Like, I am a very simple person. I am very ABC 1, 2, 3. And the fact that you don't even need load numbers anymore, you can just put a PO number and it pulls all of that up. I just go back to like when I first started doing this stuff, Jeff, and we were like faxing rate confirmations. It was DOS based, everything. And now it's just like, it's easy to go out there, and then duplicating loads as well is another one of our favorite features personally, is because, we don't have EDI customers who are coming in and auto-populating all of that information. The rates stay the same. The commodity stays the same. Everything stays the same, but it's not EDI, right? So in other ways, you have to go in there and manually build it. We're not like with cloning that stuff. It just makes us that much faster. And then also knowing that like we're building the right information because we're not rushing through it, and that confidence that comes with it. I think personally, those are like some of my favorite features to go out there, is when a customer calls us and they're like, hey, PO number, whatever, you're able just to drop that in the search bar, pulls up the load. You have all the relevant information right in front of you.
Yeah. Data integrity is huge. And, the consistency of it too. So,
yeah. So Jeff, you brought up AI, and I know this is on front of everybody right now. Like, I actually reached out to a couple of AI companies in the industry because, I like to I like to kind of get ahead of a lot of this stuff. I'm not anti-tech by any stretch of the imagination. I also believe in never removing the human from it, but I also would be a fool to not educate myself on something that is literally in front of us in every step of the way right now. And, where do you see stuff like that coming in? How is that going to change, do you think, the way that the freight transaction looks?
Yeah, well, it first goes back to the tech stack. You can't have bad data, disparate data, different systems. Some on-prem, some cloud. AI is only as good as the data going in, right?
Yeah.
So if I have the data, good data in one spot, that's kind of step one. Step two is I think AI is good at what we call the happy pass. I have a customer, pretty consistent lane. I have stored rates on the back end. An AI tool that we're doing, it can automate the whole thing. Tender, send out the updates to macro point. Literally, a load can come in via EDI, gets tendered, and no one's ever touched it. And it's going, and the only time someone sees it is if you get an alert saying they're behind schedule. So I think AI is going to change the way that people manage their kind of low-hanging fruit, no-brainer, happy path loads that everybody has. I have certain customers that run certain lanes. I know my pricing, they know the pricing, and I don't need somebody to touch that.
Yeah. And I think that that's going to come in with a lot of like the power lanes that are out there, right? Like I early in my career, we moved a lot of food and beverage, a lot of bottled water. It was literally always 26 pallets, 44,000 pounds, same shipper, same receiver every single time. That's where I see a lot of the automation coming in that, I don't know if, 5 years is too long, but I think that's where a lot of it is going to be put into play first, right? And it's just like the whole digital broker push that was out there. It's good for the duplicatable processes that are never going to change, right? It's always first come, first serve, or whatever that looks like. And then, anything below that, the nuanced freight that comes in, I think like that's the stuff that's going to be affected last by a lot of this. But I'm also, why wouldn't you look at something to improve your accuracy, right? Like I would say out of everything, outside of service failures on loads, not being able to bill a customer properly is probably the biggest obstacle that a lot of people need to go through in that. And it's like, why aren't you out there utilizing tech to verify, double check, triple check everything as you're going through this? Because you don't want to have that end of year customer review come in and then they're like, hey, we're going to kick you out of network because you guys can't bill us to save your life. And then, again, talking about managing your cash flow and everything else, that delays payments. And then are you able to pay your carriers and stuff like that? So it's like, those are those little fillers where I think automation is going to come in and clean up a lot of people's processes, or at least help elevate them to kind of streamline their billing and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what, we call it AI, and it sounds pretty cool, but it's really automating processes. So I have data, I want to take that data and do this, and then I want this outcome. And if everything works, no one touches it. If something goes outside, then we get the manual review. So a lot of application for it. It's top of mind for us. We're having pretty big announcements here coming soon on what we're releasing. We're really excited about it, and our more importantly, our customers are going to be excited about it.
Yeah, I think that I'm always one of those guys when it comes down to advancements in technology and everything else. Like where if you're good at what you do, I think technology makes you better. I don't think it's like a hindrance. I don't think people should be threatened by a lot of what's being put out there. Like I know I'm trying to get some of the guys on who are like AI callers and stuff like that. But I also look at a lot of that stuff is from my perspective, if that's what everybody's going to do, I'm just going to do the opposite. I'm going to go back to like old school. I'm going to double down on the humanization of a lot of those transactions, right? But it's like that back office stuff that is where we'll probably invest in automation before anything, because I truly feel, I mean, you've been in sales for a long time, Jeff. You might agree or disagree with this, but how much of it is always going to boil down to the person to person element as you're going through that transaction, right? Nobody wants a machine when their TMS stops working or there's a snafu that goes on. They want to talk to Jeff, the individual, in that moment.
Yeah, well, I saw the account. I get the load. All they care about is like loads picked up, loads delivered, right?
Yeah.
So everything in between is where things can go haywire in this industry. We know that, but a lot of times it doesn't. And AI is perfect for managing that, giving the customer visibility, real time visibility. So another thing that's interesting, and I always think about the consumer world. So when I order something online, I usually get a link and say, I go to Dick's Sporting Goods and order a pair of shoes. I get a link, say, hey, check your order, click here. I click there, and okay, my shoes are going to be here on Monday. That's great. So, providing that type of access and benefits to your customers alleviates some of that. So yeah, I want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, but no, I don't necessarily care about that. I want to know any second of the day, where's my stuff at? Am I at risk? Do I need to change an appointment time? And what they should have is they shouldn't have to find that out by clicking. Somebody at your brokerage should understand, okay, now we have a problem. I'm going to reach out proactively to the customer. And that's where, a lot of the automation and things help.
No, I'm right there with you, right? Like I have customers of ours that we've been working with for a few years now, Jeff, where like they literally don't even answer my calls. They're like, dude, we're good. Like we don't need to talk, man. Like you let us know. And again, you guys, like this is a few years of working with them. So that trust level is there. But it just gets to the point where it's like that is as automated of a relationship as it can kind of get, right? Because they're like, we don't need to talk, man. We know that when you email us back or when you email us, whatever, we know the update's legit. So, those are those things that come along with it. But I think that is where I've seen a lot more of that in some of the prospects and stuff that we're talking to right now, Jeff, about, actual visibility and them wanting, like requesting gosh dang it, logbook, electronic log, ELD. Wow. Public school education right here. But they want that ELD access on some of that freight. And because they want that 24/7 visibility. They want to be able to check out and see where their freight is and not have to reach out. So it's like, I think the more and more that people think about that, and who you're going after for your customer base. And again, kind of to tie into what we were originally talking about here earlier is who you're, like your customers and what they're going to require from you and some of those things. Like, I think as you're going out there and choosing your right tech partners and knowing that, like, those are some of the things that come along with it. Like I've mentioned this before. You don't want to get to the finish line with a customer and then you go to your TMS provider and you're like, hey, do you guys have X, Y, and Z? And they're like, no, we don't, but it's on our roadmap. And you're like, then you're going to lose that opportunity that you just spent a year prospecting.
Right. And again, it's the consumer world bleeding into the business world. So that's the expectation I have as a consumer, is that visibility. And, and now businesses are expecting the same type of treatment. I want access to KPIs. I want to know in a dashboard, what's my on-time delivery percentage? How often are you pricing on lanes, et cetera, et cetera. So they're demanding more information. You got to provide it to them. You have to look for a system that can be, customer centric, but carriers are also demanding that information too.
Yeah, I think it's a major selling point when you actually have, because like it's kind of gotten to the point with some of this stuff, Jeff, where now you have actual tangible proof that you can show your customers and prospects about how you're actually performing and where things are. The days of, well, we think we're at this are kind of gone. Like, you have an actual opportunity now to tell your story through your data, tell that good news about how you actually operate.
Yeah, and also you don't want to be caught up in recency bias, right? So you've been delivering at 98% for the past quarter, for the past month, and a load is late because of a snowstorm in Nashville, and they're like, hey, this was a priority load and I needed this on time. And you have data, you have statistics, you have it, You're not telling them that you're doing a good job. Here's the proof. I moved 1,000 loads for you, and this is what happens. So, it helps you sell, helps you retain relationships, but it also sets, the proper expectations.
No. And that's what you need to do, man, as you're going out there. You need to have those expectations, and you need to provide that information before your customers ask you for that. That's one piece of we already got to wrap, but that's one piece of advice I would give to anybody out there is bring that information to your customers before they ever come to you. And then that's where that trust really starts to be built up over time, is when you're proactively taking that approach. But dude, that flew by, Jeff, as I kind of thought it would. And but dude, I appreciate you joining me here. I'm really looking forward to everything. Like I said, you guys, Revenova is the official TMS of the Freight Coach. I use them every single day inside of my business. They have helped us grow and scale out there with the tools at our disposal. But Jeff, how does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more?
Just go to revenova.com and feel free, there's links to contact us, and we'd be more than happy to entertain any conversations, of course.
No, absolutely. And if for some reason you guys can't find Revenova, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in contact with them. But that's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network, because if you saw value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, we're a very proud sponsor too. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man.